When looking at SQL Server performance, there's a number of different aspects or moving parts that we could consider for what could be impacting the overall performance. But two very effective ways of understanding what is going on is analyzing either server weights, what's happening around the server weight activity or where it's doing its work, and also around query weights. Today I'm going to focus on the server weights to show you how through Diagnostic Manager you're able to drill in and look at what activity is happening from a server weight perspective. So when we bring up the console, which you see on the screen right now, we can choose an instance on the left hand side. This is where we have our navigation pane. Select the instance, and then at the top we have a variety of different tabs: overview, sessions, queries, resources, as you can see, database health, service monitoring, log scraping, and the prescriptive analysis, which provides recommendations for how to tune performance. Those same objects also reside on the left hand side. It's the same thing, just two different ways to navigate essentially. So where we can go to analyze server weights is available under the resources tab. So I go to the resources tab. First thing we see is a summary of what's happening with the workload, with CPU, memory, disk activity. We can drill into other aspects of performance like memory performance or disk activity, specifically look at counters around disk queuing. But I'm going to go over here to the server weights. When I select the server weights, it will bring up this view with charts indicating what's happening in all these different areas, all these different weight categories, from backup to I/O activity to memory resources to locks that are happening. And you can also see at the bottom what's happening with different weight activities as well. I see that I have a number of different locks that are popping up here, so I might want to focus purely on that category and not muddy the water with anything else going on. So if I go up here to the top and choose the little drop down for all weight types and go to categories, as you can see here, I have the lock option that I can drill into, and now I'm focusing purely on the different types of locks that are happening. Or instead, I could go to the categories and change it up to look at I/O activity like that, or hit the drop down for I/O activity and even go to others. Whatever category I choose, down at the bottom we're going to see the list of available details modify. You can also just keep it with all of the different weights if you want to, and sort by any category. Like here I have the total wait time. I might sort by that category instead. And then, of course, I can see all the wait time breakdown and the descriptions if applicable. Some of this information, we do have descriptions for what it is. Some of it we do not, but in this case, if you have some details here, some description, it'll tell you a little bit more about what the weight is, and sometimes even some helpful information on the right hand side for how to approach that weight. Here, as a matter of fact, is a CX packet weight that has some help details, and if I click on that, it's going to bring up a little window, and in the window it will provide some descriptive information about what a CX packet weight is, typically tied to CPU pressure, and how to approach that as far as dealing with the max degree of parallelism. So you can review that and then take the next necessary action. You might even go ahead and drill into the query weights, which would be available under the Queries tab, to analyze underlying activity on the SQL Server with different queries executing that might play into this as well. But from this view, this will help us understand if there's any hotspots trending on this server in any of these areas of I/O activity or backup operations or resource utilization. And again, you can hit the little categories to see the different areas that we can look at, and even drill in further to specific weights in any one of those categories. In this case, I'm looking at other types of weights, which are going to display my total weights, signal weights, or resource weights. In this case, I'm looking at the resource weights. So that's how we will use the tool to analyze server weights. At this point, I recommend that you look at this in your own environment to see what's going on. You're looking at my demo environment. Of course, the proof is in the pudding and what you see with the performance in your own environment. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your account manager at IDERA. We can set up a more one-on-one type of a presentation or discussion around what you're seeing in your environment. And hopefully, this information will be helpful to you to understand where the actual activity is happening, where pressure may be created in some of the areas of activity.